Hey there. Do you ever feel like you're just guessing when it comes to making those big, important moves for your business or even for your own career? Well, today we're going to break down a tool that helps you trade that guesswork for a rock-solid strategic plan. It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, whether you're about to launch a new product or you're just trying to figure out your next career step, making a big choice without a clear picture, it can feel like you're just taking a shot in the dark. So, how do we flip on the lights? Well, the answer is a surprisingly simple but really powerful framework called a SWOT analysis. It's one of the most practical tools out there for planning, and it's all built on four pillars: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So let's dive in and break down what each of these actually means. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start by looking inward. The whole first half of a SWOT analysis is about these internal factors, all the stuff that's happening inside your business that you actually have direct control over. Let's kick things off with S for strengths. This is the fun part. This is where you get to be confident and really pinpoint what you or your business is already nailing. So, strengths are your internal advantages. They're the secret weapons you already have in your arsenal. This could be a really strong brand, a super loyal customer base, or maybe a product that nobody else has. For instance, think about a small handmade business. Maybe their product quality is just incredible, and they built this amazing, engaged community on Instagram. Those are absolutely strengths. And to figure out your strengths, you need to ask yourself one key question. What do we do better than anyone else? This is the time to be totally honest and confident about it. Okay, so now let's flip the coin and look at the other side. Right after strengths, we've got to talk about W for weaknesses. Now, weaknesses are also internal, but these are the areas that, need some work. It could be anything from a tight budget to slow delivery times. For that same handmade business, a weakness might be that they just can't make their products fast enough when demand spikes, or maybe they really struggle to post new content consistently. And the question to ask here is just as direct. What is holding us back? Being brutally honest about this stuff is the absolute first step to actually fixing it. All right, so we've looked in the mirror. Now it's time to look out the window. The second half of SWOT is all about the external forces, the things happening out in the world that you can't really control, but you definitely need to be aware of. And this is where it starts to get really exciting. Let's talk about O for opportunities. Opportunities are all those things happening out there that you can use to your advantage. Maybe there's a growing demand for your kind of product, or a new social media platform is just blowing up. For our handmade business, a huge opportunity might be the growing trend of people wanting personalized gifts, especially around the holidays. So the question that drives this part of the analysis is all about looking ahead. Where can we grow next? You're looking for those open doors. And that brings us to our last letter, which is just as important to face head-on. T for threats. Threats, these are the curveballs the world might throw at you. They're the external factors that could cause some real trouble. We're talking about things you can't control, like new competitors popping up, the cost of your materials suddenly going through the roof, or even copycat brands. A massive threat for that handmade business would be a flood of mass-produced, cheaper knockoffs entering the market. So to spot those threats, you've got to ask, what risks do we need to be careful about? Just being aware of them is half the battle, because then you can start preparing. Okay, so we have all four pieces of the SWOT puzzle laid out on the table. Now it's time to connect the dots and finally see that big picture. Here's the core logic, the most important thing to remember. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. They are within your control. Opportunities and threats are external. They're happening outside your control. Getting that distinction is the real key to using this whole thing effectively. Now, let's see how it all comes together for our handmade business. Check this out. On the helpful side of things, you've got internal strengths like high quality and external opportunities like new marketplaces. And on the harmful side, you've got internal weaknesses like limited production capacity and external threats like cheaper competition. This right here, this is the light bulb moment where a real strategy starts to form. How can you use your strengths to jump on those opportunities and to guard against those threats? See how it works? So, what do you do with all this? That is the most important part, right? You move from just analyzing to actually doing. This becomes your blueprint. Look, if you take just one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. The single biggest benefit of doing a SWOT analysis is just clarity. It helps you stop guessing and start making moves with a real awareness of where you stand, and more importantly, where you can go.
In the end, it really just boils down to answering these four simple but incredibly powerful questions. What am I good at? Where do I need to improve? What opportunities are out there for me to grab? And what risks should I get ready for? Answering those questions gives you a clear and powerful blueprint for growth. You have the map. So really, the only question left to ask is, what's your first move?